What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily Channel with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into Boston's offseason as the draft wrapped up last night, and there was a couple of intriguing developments that happened. We've got some more rumors swirling around, and then once again, we'll wrap up the show with some of your comments. But before we do that, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know the next time we're dropping that sweet, sweet Celtics content, because the numbers are going up, baby. Let's get over a 1K subs, huh? Let's build this thing. All right, speaking of building this thing, the Celtics, I feel, I don't want to say I'm going to take an L here, although we can do it. We can accept the L. I thought for sure I had this second round figured out, right? Brad Stevens was seeing through the matrix. At 28, he takes Hugo Gonzalez, the guy from Real Madrid. And the reason he took him there is because, hey, I know we need a big, and Kalkbrenner and Maxime Renaud were still on the board going into the second round. We had the second pick of the second round. So worst case scenario, they get one of them, right? They'll have either their choice of either one of those, or one will get drafted with the first pick by the Timberwolves in the second round, and the Celtics would get whoever was left, right? Wrong. Celtics end up making a trade with the Orlando Magic, so they give them the 32nd pick. Orlando uses that pick and takes Noah Penda from France, which France had like a ton of guys drafted last night. So in return, the Celtics get 2 second-round picks. They get the 46th pick and the 57th pick. So they get 2 extra shots in the second round. Now, before I even break this down, Mike Zakarian, who I think is like the assistant GM, I forget what his official, no, it's not assistant GM. I forget his official title, but he already said that most likely both of these guys are going to be two-way contracts. But the first one, they take, with the 46th pick, they go to super senior, if you will, which is something we thought was going to happen with the two guys we just mentioned before, with Amari Williams, who played, I believe, at Drexel for a little bit and then transferred to University of Kentucky. He's from London town. He's from Britain, British born. He's a center, so we did get a big man. A center, he's originally from England, selected with the 46th pick. He was most likely going to be doing some NBA time, some G League time. He brings some size, some international experience, adds some front court depth. I mean, again, because depending on what the situation is with Al Horford and Luke Cornett, maybe he does get a little bit more run here and doesn't spend too much time with the main Red Claws. He'll actually get to play. Just because the lack of depth in the big man, but this was not too much of an exciting pick. There's not awesome comps for him. Again, maybe you get lucky. You never know what you're going to get with the second round, right? Some of the standout second rounders, Nikola Jokic, Manu Ginobili, most of the time it's guys that don't see the floor too much. And then with the 57th pick, they go to Max Sugar, who played at the Virginia Commonwealth University. He was the Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, so that's kind of fun. He's a guard. He's got really good shooting. I believe almost 40% from three, 39% from three. There it is. 6'4". Expect same thing, like a two-way guy. So I don't know. I'm not really too thrilled with either of those picks. But again, what do you expect with the second round? I was surprised that they traded back. I'm curious if what they did not see in Kalkbrenner and Renaud. Kalkbrenner ended up going, again, he's the Creighton big man. He ended up going to Charlotte, which makes sense. Charlotte had picked 34. So 2 picks later, Charlotte goes and gets him because Charlotte traded away all of their centers, right? Mark Williams is gone. Nick Richards is gone. And then let's see where Renaud went as I'm scrolling down through. Maxime ended up not going until pick 42, and he went to... it looks like the Sacramento Kings. So, and then the Celtics didn't pick again until a little bit later. So, they do get a big man, and Amari, some Kentucky pedigree. I guess that's pretty exciting, but overall, relatively quiet draft. I thought the most important thing that we actually heard last night was not about the second round picks, and it was more about Jaylen Brown and Sam Hauser. Jaylen Brown and Derek White. So, in reporting after the game, I'm going to quote Noah Delzell, who, by the way, came on my show, Mike Zakarian's NBA Bit, yesterday. So if you go check that channel out, the NBA Bit, we had a nice half-hour interview with Noah talking all things Celtics. But Noah said she asked the assistant general manager Mike Zakarian about the reports that teams were calling for Jaylen Brown and Derek White about a potential trade and about where they fit into the Celtics' future. Great question. Thank you, Noah. Says those two guys, this was Mike Zakarian, those two guys are really, really great NBA players. There hasn't been anything close to serious offers about trading them. And I'm not so sure about all this, where this reporting came from, but those guys are key parts of our team, and we're lucky to have them here. So I don't know. Maybe that's lip service. Like, what are you going to say, right? You're not actually going to be like, well, yes, we are waiting to trade Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but we're waiting for the Bucks to call. So, like, the response is always going to be, these guys are pillars of the community. They are incredible leaders. They're all-star caliber basketball players, and they're going to be Celtics for life, right? Although we probably thought the same thing about Isaiah Thomas before he got traded. So I do tend to believe what Mike is saying in the sense that I don't think there were serious offers. We've now heard both sides of Utah and Boston come out and say like there were no conversations between Utah and Boston. And when that happens, I want to know, we should be able to, like a serial-esque podcast, figure out how that rumor even started to the point that it then got reported by ESPN, right? Like what kind of game of telephone was being played? Was it different languages? Like, was one person speaking English and the other one speaking French, and that's how we got to where we are? The Utah Yays? Like, is that what ended up happening there? So it does seem like JB and Derek White are off the table. I'm still not 100% convinced that that means they won't get moved. I think it's probably, as we get deeper into free agency, which should kick off next week, I do believe that like the options are a little bit more limited. After these teams make their draft picks, they tend to get attached to them, right? So I don't really see any of the guys that were just selected getting moved. But I mean, if the right offer comes through, I think the most intriguing team right now is the Houston Rockets. I think if there was anyone that could throw a real wrench into stuff specifically for Jaylen Brown, it would be the Houston Rockets. I think San Antonio is pretty comfortable with Dylan Harper, right? I think they're really excited about what they got in the second pick. I mean, San Antonio does have a ton of future assets, but I don't really see them actually unloading for JB. Houston, on the other hand, we already talked about the Kevin Durant trade and how they only gave up just very few assets, right? It's like the 10th pick, it's a 5 second-round picks, Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, right? So their starting five, as it looks right now: Fred VanVleet, who they already restructured their contract. You've got Amen Thompson, who definitely won't be on the move. You've got Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., Sengun. They have Steven Adams off the bench, right? So those 6 guys for Houston are going to be there. Houston still has the Phoenix Suns first-round picks in the upcoming years, right? Not this coming year, but like 27 and 29, I believe, all right? Those are going to be massive assets because if you look at the Phoenix Suns roster, it looks like someone took a Dookie. That's it. That's what they got there. The Phoenix Suns are just a dumpster fire. So they've got those picks as potential assets. Then you have the Reed Shepherd, right? The young guy from the Houston Rockets. He was the number 2 overall pick last season who barely cracked the rotation because Ime loves defense and he wasn't there yet. Cam Whitmore, who still has a ton of upside but does not crack the rotation so much. And then Tari Eason, who is one of their, like, he's in their key rotation. He's a really good big man who just sprints all over the place. So I do think there is potential for Houston, if they would like to make one more move. They have the flexibility to do so. And I think Jaylen Brown would make sense there, right? Because I think they could use another wing, another playmaker, another scorer on that roster, and he still defends at the elite level that Ime Udoka requires, right? And, I mean, obviously they have that previous relationship. So, again, do I think this is going to happen? No. But I do think if there was a team that was going to take a shot at it, it would be him. Derek White, on the other hand, his contract is so sexy, we'll say, that I think a bunch of teams would still be interested. I don't think either of them are going to move. I don't. So I don't even have any like fun trade ideas for you for Mr. White. However, Sam Hauser, I do still believe, is going to be on the move, right? They want to cut a little bit more salary. They've been very clear about that. The reason they want to do it is just like, again, Sam is entering the first year of a 4-year, $45 million extension, and he can shoot the hell out of the ball. So other teams are going to be interested in him. And with Boston facing the harsh luxury tax reality and aiming to get under the second apron, Hauser is going to be widely viewed as one of the most likely rotation players to be moved. And especially now that it doesn't seem like JB's going, Derek White's going, it's going to be probably Sammy. Now, here are a couple of trade proposals that I think these are the types of returns we could see from Sam. Now, none of them are going to blow the doors off. Is that a saying? Blow the doors off. None of them are going to get too exciting, but here are a couple that I've found. We already know that Brad Stevens and Joe Cronin of the Portland Trail Blazers have been talking on the phone, right? So in this one, the Celtics receive center Dwap Reith, and then Trailblazers get Sam Hauser, Xavier Tillman, in a 2031 second-round pick. So it's Hauser, Xavier, and 2031 second. You get Dwap Reith back. Now, Dwap Reith is fine. He's fine. He's like a serviceable center. He's good. You should only be playing like 18 to 20 minutes a game. That's it. Can knock down a three or here or there. Decent rebounder. I'll be honest. I've watched a little bit of Dwap Reith because I'm a sicko and Portland was my league pass team. But Portland right now has DeAndre Ayton, Donovan Clingan. They also drafted another big man this weekend, or this week in the NBA draft. So they don't need any more centers. I can see Dwap Reith being somebody that's on the move. Again, not very sexy. The San Antonio Spurs. How about do you like champagne? How about Julian Champagne and a second-round pick for Sammy? So the Spurs probably want a little bit more shooting. He would make a ton of sense there, right? Where you look at Fox, who's like an okay shooter, not really a catch-and-shoot guy. More dribble into it. Castle, streaky in his shooting. Devin Vassell is still there. Surprisingly, Vassell's still there. He's an A-plus shooter for them. But then after that, not a ton of three-point shooting. Sam would make a ton of sense there. So the Spurs looking for that. And again, Boston would roughly save $7 million. They would get $7 million under the cap. And also, Julian Champagne, not bad. Not bad. How about the Orlando Magic? Magic, who finished last in three-point shooting in 24-25. They're also another team that makes sense, right? They did get Desmond Bane, and Bane is an incredible shooter, but they're still you don't want just one guy shooting the ball. Orlando is over the first tax apron, and a third team might need to help facilitate. So Brooklyn Nets, where you at, girl? And then some other suitors that would make sense. You get the Clippers, you have the Kings. Kings, they're really good at doing dumb shit, so I think the Kings would be into it. Not that it would be dumb shit, but they might overpay because they're the Sacramento Kings. Clippers, on the other hand, not as much. Clippers may have some 26 cap concerns, so I don't know, but the Kings have Jake LaRavia, but I don't know. LaRavia might not be in Sacramento much longer, so those are some options. And again, Hauser, 41% from three in his career, and sneaky okay at defense. I think everybody looks at Hauser as this Gumby looking white guy, and they're like, I'm gonna cook this dude. And he's actually not terrible over there. So again, I don't want to see Sam Hauser go. I love Sam, but it does seem like his days are numbered in Boston with the current cap situation. So just not, again, it felt like there was fireworks ready to explode here heading into the NBA draft. And the Celtics take Hugo Gonzalez, who I think a lot of people were freaking out about because they were only looking at the box scores there in Real Madrid. Then they trade back. They went full Bill Belichick on us, trading back and doing 2 second-round picks. And then it's like two guys who are probably going to spend most of their time on two-way contracts. But I will be in Viva Las Vegas July 10th to the 14th for NBA Summer League. By the way, if anybody's going out to Summer League this year, let me know in the comments. We're going to be at the MGM Grand. We're doing meetups and stuff. We're hanging out. We're going to the games. It's a really fun time. Probably going to be 125 degrees in Las Vegas, so that part sucks. But I've been going every year for the last 5 years. Summer League's incredible. So we'll get to see some of these guys cook. But again, there were so many trade rumors. Everything was just swirling around heading into the draft. And now hopefully everybody can just take a breath, review the roster that we have. Again, Sammy probably on the move, but outside of that, we might just be heading into a new season, a new era of the Boston Celtics, if you will, with our guys KP and Drew Holiday elsewhere, Tatum with the wrap around the knee, So it's going to be a different season for sure. Let's end with our favorite segment here that we introduced yesterday, where we take a look at some of your comments and respond to them. Mostly the positive ones, but I'll throw some negative ones in there because I'm a good guy. But before we do that, if you've watched it this long, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Let's pump those numbers up. Pump the algo, baby. All right, here we go. I'm going to go over two today. We'll mix it up. We'll go over two today. First one, the Four Horsemen, 7081, said, who could Utah actually offer for Jaylen Brown? Yeah, and I think that's why those rumors didn't make a ton of sense. be Brad Stevens would have had to be like, I think Ace Bailey is better than Victor Wembanyama. Like he would have had to be so in love with Ace Bailey that is why they would go, because Ace Bailey, who was very pissed off about getting drafted to Utah. By the way, if you did not see that, one of the funniest things that happened in the draft, and I don't know if they show this on TV because again, your boy was on the floor. So after they got drafted, they did one of those like 360 cameras. I don't know. I always refer to them as the Times Square camera because someone's like, "Hey, for $20, we'll do the 360 photo." And so they stand there, and as the camera's going around, they do some like poses or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Ace Bailey, after getting selected by the Utah Jazz, after saying he did not want to play for the Utah Jazz, stood there just like this. No, emotionless as the thing's whipping around. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. But anyways, if Brad was like, we really love Ace Bailey, we think he's going to be a superstar. Maybe it's like, hey, we'll take Bailey, we'll take some future first round picks. You're probably going to have to throw like John Collins in there and like to make the contracts work, right? So that would be the only way that it would happen, and that's why I think the Utah conversations never really made sense, unless Danny Ainge was going to be like, here, how do you feel about 15 first round picks? So yeah, I kind of agree there with the Four Horsemen. And then the second one, Estardo Carre. No, I definitely mispronounced it. Estuardo Carre. Why wouldn't you want to deal Jalen? He says. I know he's good, but don't you think the Celtics would be much better in the future with potential all-star young players and money to sign key free agents? So this is what I think that is a question to pose. And I do think it's easy to be like, Jaylen Brown's making $300 million, and you're telling me we can't find a player of a similar caliber for a lot cheaper. And what I would say is no. And the reason I think a lot of the guys at Jaylen Brown's caliber, no matter who they play for, are going to make that money. And there is something to be said. It's almost like quarterbacks on rookie contracts, right? If you get like maybe Drake May, shout out the Pats kid. But like if you get a quarterback on a rookie contract who can ball out and is like ready to win now, then you go spend elsewhere so you can make the run. I think it's really hard to hit on players like that, especially when you're a team that's always drafting at the end of the first round, like the Boston Celtics have been because they've been so competitive. So I think like your goal in this scenario is to find Jaylen Brown from 6 years ago before he was going to get paid. I think it is really hard as an NBA franchise to find two elite playmaking is probably too strong, but like elite wings. And however you feel about JB, because his dribble doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing as Kyrie Irving's, JB is an elite wing. He's an all-star. He's a multi-time all-star, all-NBA. He's NBA Finals MVP. Like, JB is awesome. And I know the money is startling and it does hamstring stuff, but if you put JB on any other team, he's going to make that money. You know what I'm saying? There's no like other option. And also the mention of free agents. Who are the free agents that come to Boston ever? Who are they? I guess Al was probably our biggest free agent signing. Like KG was a trade. Ray Allen was right. Like those are all trades. And even if you look at free agency just in general, it's most teams are signing and trading these days. That's not to say, like, the Celtics have made it clear they want flexibility, but I think they want that flexibility so they can build around JT and JB. So that's just my take on it. I think I totally understand the conversation around it that, like, Jaylen Brown is super, super expensive. Does it make sense to be building around two expensive guys like this? And I think because JB and Tatum are both at the same level of, like, the age, I think Tatum's a better player, but the same trajectory in their, like, career, I think it makes sense to continue to build around them. But I'm curious to hear other people's thoughts on that. So definitely let me know in the comments. Definitely subscribe to the channel and definitely tune in next time to the Celtics Daily. Thanks for watching.